Oh, good morning YouTube, good morning GoPro. I know I'm backlit at the moment, but I wanted to hop on here because I am gonna do a little bit of first-person GoPro filming. Today is day number 1 of our beginner training program here at Backcountry PPG, and I just wanted to do a little filming of kind of those first moments. A few of the little lessons that I teach. I'm gonna take you along, teach you a couple of little things that I say, some things that we catch, because, you know, always exciting on day 1. First inflation ever right here. Chuck, new student, 74 years old, and it frontaled on him. That is a perfect example of holding the A's down, not holding them with the risers, pressing the A's. Essentially, if you think about the risers as this even cascade of lines, if you press the A's down and change that even cascade to the A's being 6 inches shorter, because you want to make sure that you keep those A's at the same distance from the wing as the B's, the C's, the D's, all the other cascades, so you don't deform the glider. All right, down, let's see it. Nice inflation, move under it, elbows are slightly bent. Good, facing the same direction as the wing, almost, needs to twist a little to the left. Good correction, down, twist a little to your left. There you go, beautiful. See how he's now facing the same direction as the wing. The wing has even turned more. He turned with it. That's perfect. Arms are bent. Bent arms feel more than straight arms. So if you're stiff arming, or as we call starfishing, you can't feel much. And if you're kangarooing, where you push your arms forward, you also can't feel much. We have Freeman here about to open this up a little bit more. I'm a big fan of a really clean layout. However, before I do that, Freeman, I would take these risers and I'd scoot them a whole lot closer to the wing, like this. Because if you start pulling on that wing, you're going to drag the risers, which, as Dallin learned, leads to tangles if you do that wrong. Nice inflation there, Dallin. And almost overflew him right there. That's one of my least favorite parts about these Seeds and Roadrunners, is they don't actually overfly as easily as a classic profile paramotor wing or paragliding wing. Meaning, you put them on a Mojo, and that same little shoot forward that the wing had would have frontaled. So he almost is learning bad habits because it's catching them. Right, so the line of where it starts to frontal and doesn't frontal moves further forward on these kiting wings than on the flying wings. Now, I think both the Seed and the Roadrunner do a great job. The most important thing with the kiting wings is that they do frontal. There are a handful of kiting wings out there that you can get for like super cheap that don't frontal, which doesn't teach you to catch the frontal, which means when you transition to the big wing, you didn't learn to catch the frontal, which is a bad habit that you then need to work out. Little faster on the run there, Freeman. Now a little smoother. Do you hear the glider? Hear it crinkling? Yeah, try and smoothen so it doesn't crinkle. Good. So the glider's good at giving you information as to how you're performing. Ideally during your kiting process, your launching process, all of it, you don't hear the crinkles. That's two-part. One, that's how you run. Sloppy turnaround, didn't pull enough brake, let it overfly in the process of spinning. But back to what I was saying, if you hear the glider while you're running, it means you're running too aggressively, we could say. You're bouncing too much. So we always try and imagine that we've got a cup on our head or a book on our head, and we're trying not to lose the book or spill the water in the cup. Because if you glide versus bounce, it's a lot smoother on the wing. Now, why is it important that it's smoother on the wing? Well, here's the thing. When you sink, you add additional loading to the glider. When you rise, you release the loading to the wing. Now, where that comes really important is when you're trying to get lift, because all of a sudden you're building lift, releasing lift, building lift, releasing lift, which is going to prolong, increase the amount of distance it takes to get off the ground. But by gliding, it's consistent. It can accelerate smoothly without adding or removing lift suddenly, like bouncing does. The other part is with brakes. If you hit a bunch of brakes and you hear the wing, it means you pulled too aggressively, too quick. You were jerky. You want to be smooth with the brakes, not jerky with the brakes. Good, so Dallin right here is going to set himself up completely off center with the wing. He asked me a good question, which is there anything I could do while running down the field, while taxiing, as we refer to it, to better improve our skills? And what I said is, instead of practicing the taxiing in this moment, practice recovering bad inflations. Set yourself up wrong wing direction or off center or any of those combinations, and get really good at catching and recovering those things. Because what you're going to learn is, in the real world, when you go to inflate your wing and launch your wing, as best as we try to be as perfectly centered as possible, it's not always possible, which means you need to be good at catching when it's not quite right and recovering from bad inflations or a bad setup or whatever. The better you are at that, the more consistently you can catch those mistakes, more consistently you can launch. The taxi practice you'll get when there's more wind and when we're kiting. Yes, there are things that you can do to practice it. Don't get me wrong, and I'll tell him those in a minute, but practicing setting up wrong, recovering it, and fixing it, as you just saw him shift under it, is arguably more important in this training environment right now with lighter wind conditions. Nice job, Dallin. On this one, Freeman, I want to see you run faster. Come on, faster. Run, Freeman, run. There you go. Keep that speed up. Good. Hear the wing? Okay, I can hear the wing. Maybe you can't hear the wing. On Dallin's launch, I couldn't hear the wing. But on Freeman's launch, I can hear the wing. It's because he's bouncing with his steps. You could watch his head go up and down. So, that's what I mean, but you need to be smooth, not jerky. Same thing, same speed, subtle difference. When it comes to kiting, when it comes to flying paramotors, it's the subtle little differences that make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. If you found this video useful and you wanted to get into paramotoring for yourself, we offer a 10-day training program out of Salton Sea, California in the winter and out of Salt Lake City in the summer. During these 10 days, we're going to teach you everything you need to know from A to Z about flying paramotors. If you want more information on our training program alone, visit our website, backcountryppg.com.